You guys will probably be surprised to hear that not only am I enjoying Ahsoka so far, but that I have practically no complaints about the first two episodes. However, I do have some questions. I'm not going to sit here and pretend like this is a good sign for the Star Wars franchise as a whole. This is an expected exception. That's because Dave Filoni is giving this series his full attention. Unlike The Mandalorian, which was Jon Favreau's thing, or even The Bad Batch, which is another Filoni creation, you can tell that he really cares about this. After all, this is a series that focuses on one of his favorite characters, Ahsoka, and features characters from Star Wars Rebels such as Sabine Wren, Hera Syndulla, and Chopper, as well as Master Huyang from the Clone Wars. Dave Filoni has had his hand on several Star Wars projects that have come out in the past decade, but you can tell which ones he's really passionate about. Thrawn doesn't appear in the first two episodes, so I won't be making any Heir to the Empire comparisons in this video, but the overall plot does revolve around Thrawn, and for some characters, Ezra Bridger. If you didn't watch Star Wars Rebels, I suggest you do. Otherwise, it's going to be a lot more difficult to understand a lot of the context, as well as appreciate the presence of some of the characters. There are a lot of Rebels Easter eggs in these episodes. The only new characters that were introduced are Baylan Skoll and his apprentice Shin. Now, Baylan is obviously a former Jedi who survived Order 66, though it's not clear if Shin was a Jedi youngling or if she was simply a Force-sensitive child that Baylan picked up at some point. There's also Merrick or Marok, possibly another apprentice. For now, he's just a faceless dark side user. If you're tired of Disney Star Wars diluting the consequences of Order 66 by introducing more Jedi or former Jedi who survived, I completely understand. Both Ahsoka and Baylan mentioned how few Jedi there are in the galaxy, which I guess is Disney's counter-argument to the complaints, although it sort of falls flat when you just introduce at least one more former Jedi. These three villains are working for the character Morgan Elsbeth, a former Imperial magistrate that Ahsoka took prisoner in Season 2 of The Mandalorian. She's revealed to be a former Night Sister, those being the witches of Dathomir who tapped into an aspect of the Force akin to magic. See what I'm saying about context? However, I do appreciate that this series might be delving into the more mystical side of Star Wars. That's something that's mostly been missing since the original trilogy. Anyway, Morgan is actually the one heading the search for Thrawn, who is in another galaxy, but was somehow able to contact Morgan through time and space. And why is he in another galaxy? Watch Rebels. But no, the short version is Ezra Bridger, a Jedi and the protagonist of Star Wars Rebels, used the Force to connect to beings called the Purgil, which are giant space whales that can travel through hyperspace. He got them to surround Thrawn's Star Destroyer in the finale of the show, and with both of them in it, they were transported through hyperspace to another galaxy. We never learned where exactly, but this series will answer that question. In fact, Morgan has a special star map that Shin stole from Sabine that does exactly that. The star map, combined with a ship containing a special hyperdrive called Scion's Eye, is supposedly how they're going to travel to this other galaxy. If the name Scion sounds familiar, he was a Sith Lord from Knights of the Old Republic, though I don't believe the Easter egg goes any further than simply using his name, though it would be cool if it ended up being something more substantial. On the other side of this conflict, you have Ahsoka Tano, who originally found the star map in a Night Sister temple. She wants to find Thrawn and stop him from gathering the Imperial remnants and starting another war, as well as to find Ezra. And because of that, she enlists the aid of Sabine Wren, a Mandalorian who was part of the Ghost Crew, and Hera, the captain of the Ghost Crew, and now a general in the New Republic. Funny how they never mentioned her in the original trilogy, or even the sequel trilogy. Sabine is currently living in Lothal, in the comms tower that Ezra used to hang out in. You can even see the various stormtrooper helmets that he used to collect. Another character from Rebels, Ryder Azadi, is the current governor of Lothal, played by Clancy Brown, who plays both the live-action and animated versions of the character. To me, one of the stranger choices in the series is that they made Sabine the former apprentice of Ahsoka. I say former because they had a falling out at some point. So it seems like she's just been moping around on Lothal for who knows how many years. But by the end of episode 2, after she's been stabbed by Shin and robbed of the star map, she gets serious. And you can tell that she gets serious because she cuts her hair. Unlike Reva and the Inquisitors in the Kenobi series, Baylan and his apprentices seem like competent enemies and a good match for Ahsoka and Sabine. Though I'm not sure why Sabine getting stabbed was necessary. It never seemed like her life was actually threatened, so it seemed rather pointless. I think Disney threw that in there because they wanted her to become more, what's the word, endearing or important to the audience who hasn't watched Star Wars Rebels. And so this is a way to quickly get you to be invested in her character. But since her life was never actually in danger, I don't think that actually worked. We are also reminded that Imperial remnants still exist in every facet of New Republic society, including a shipyard on Corellia, where the unassuming foreman seems to be the only employee not working for the Empire.
I'm a businessman, General. My loyalty is to my investors. I'll leave the politics up to you.
I wish the Disney leadership shared this attitude. The only somewhat negative comment I have is about the score. Not the score itself, I thought it sounded great, but it always felt out of place, as if they took all the composer's music and just spread it in random parts of the episode. Other than that, the two episodes were great. I really enjoyed the tight continuity that this had with Star Wars Rebels. Between the characters, locations, and Easter eggs, this might as well have just been a sequel to Rebels. The first two episodes do an adequate job of getting you caught up on the characters and the plot, but will the mainstream audience care about the characters if they haven't watched Rebels or the Clone Wars? I certainly don't mind, and I'm sure other hardcore Star Wars fans don't mind either. On the flip side, I don't believe that Lucasfilm suddenly decided to care about what the hardcore fans want. I think that Dave Filoni sticks with the characters and concepts that he knows, and more often than not, the fans just happen to enjoy that stuff. As I mentioned at the beginning of the video, I do have a couple questions. First, why did Sabine become a Jedi Padawan? At the end of Star Wars Rebels, she did leave with Ahsoka to find Ezra, and it was sort of alluded to that she might try to uphold Ezra's legacy, but she's not a Force-sensitive person. We know that from when she trained to wield the Darksaber. Sure, she could hold her own with a Jedi when she used the Darksaber in combination with her Mandalorian weaponry, but she would never be a Jedi. And Ahsoka stated during Rebels that she isn't a Jedi, so why is she training one? Obviously they failed to find Ezra, but why did Sabine stay in Lothal instead of going back to Mandalore to be with her family and serve under Bo-Katan? The series feels like it just ignored the character evolution of Sabine in Rebels, after she returned to her family and destroyed the Mandalorian killing weapon she made for the Empire, thus taking responsibility for her actions and earning back the respect of the Mandalorian community. She even could have led the Mandalorians, but decided to hand the Darksaber over to Bo-Katan. So where is that confidence and wisdom that her character had? And my next question is, when does this series take place? Because towards the end of The Mandalorian Season 3, Moff Gideon and Captain Paleon were arguing on behalf of Grand Admiral Thrawn and seemed to be awaiting his return as if they had been in contact with him. But then why is he still in another galaxy? Or does this series take place before the third season of The Mandalorian? Fortunately, Moff Gideon died at the end of Season 3, so we won't learn anything more from him. Still, I'm looking forward to the next episode, and I don't think this series is going to disappoint Star Wars fans. But let me know your guys' thoughts in the comment section below. As always, if you enjoyed this video, feel free to hit the like and subscribe button, as well as the notification bell so you never miss out on a new video. Thanks for watching.